Next is the chapter 16, The Tribulation of a Chinese. In this chapter, it highlights the social injustices and racism, set backgrounds on why reforms are needed. In this chapter 16, exposes the racial discrimination and social injustices that suffered by the Chinese people or community in a Spanish controlled the Philippines or in the Spanish era. The Spaniards viewed the Chinese with suspensions and treated them unfairly, despite their significant contributions to commerce and trade. Example, um, there's a Chinese merchant is falsely accused of a crime and publicly humiliated. The authorities treat him with extreme cruelty, subjecting him to excessive punishment without fair, 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 fair treatment. He is beaten and imprisoned simply because he is a Chinese, highlighting how racial prejudice dictated the treatment of non-Spaniard. Therefore, the significance of this event reflect the broader suffering of the Chinese community or the people who were often targeted by the Spanish government with excessive taxes and arbitrary persecution. This chapter highlights and serves a powerful critique of colonial rule that showing the injustice was widespread and reform was necessary. And Rizal presents his discrimination as a parallel to the oppression of experienced by the Filipinos that threatened his argument that societal change was needed. Next is the chapter 17, which is Basilio. Basilio as a symbol of educated Filipino youth and shows a personal struggles and aspiration tied to reform. In this chapter, Basilio embodies the struggles of educated Filipino youth. His journey highlights the difficulties faced by those who seek education and aspire to improve their nation through peaceful reform. Basilio works tirelessly to afford his education through serving Capitan Tiago while studying to become a doctor. Despite his intelligence and perseverance, he faces discrimination and financial hardships. He is constantly reminded that success success is difficult for Filipinos under Spanish rule, but he refuses to give up. The significance of this that emphasizes determination symbolizes the hope placed on the younger generation to bring about change and Basilio's belief in education as a tool for national progress that contrasts with Simon's revolutionary method. Through Basilio, Rizal emphasizes that knowledge and peaceful reform are key to achieving the justice.
And now let's proceed to the chapter 18, which is the legislation. The young students are excited about their plan to create a Spanish language academy. They believe that through education and learning the Spanish language, they can improve their future and help bring positive changes to the country. But when they try to get support from the government, they face many delays and unfair treatment. The authorities are not taking them seriously and seems to be stopping their progress on purpose. This chapter shows how hard it is for young people to make changes in the society controlled by the people who don't want anything to change. Understood? And now, let's proceed to the chapter 19, which is the fuse. In this chapter, the situation becomes more serious. The title "The Fuse" means that something dangerous is about to start, like a bomb about to explode. Basilio is one of the students begins to realize that peaceful efforts might not be enough to achieve reform. He sees that the government will not easily give in their demands, and the young are getting angrier and more frustrated. And some are starting to think that maybe they need to take stronger action. In this chapter shows that growing anger and the beginning of the possible rebellion.
So good day everyone. We will continue the presentation. So I will present to you the chapter 20 and 21. So chapter 20, the meeting in the town hall. In this chapter, the students present their respectful proposal to establish a Spanish language academy to promote peaceful reform, education, and equality. But this is met with a cold and mocking response from the colonial authorities, which show a deep prejudice and an increase in Filipino initiatives. Rizal emphasizes the emotional frustration of the students and the colonial mentality that degrades the dignity of Filipino people. So, chapter 21, which Manila types. This chapter is a satirical depiction of the various types of people in colonial Manila, which means a corrupt officials, pretentious elitists, and underinterested citizen who hinder the progress of the nation. Through humor and caricature, Rizal sharply citizen the hypocrisy and inaction of society. Amidst this irony, principles students stand out, serving as a symbol of hope for reform.
And now in my part, I have the chapter 22 until 25. So first is the chapter 22, the performance. So this likely refers to a theatrical performance or public display, perhaps a symbolic act of defiance or gathering of revolutionaries, showcasing the outward expression of the youth movement in the context of El Filibusterismo. And next is a corpse. So this point to the tragic consequences of the fight for reform, symbolizing the sacrifice and loss of life endured by those involved in the struggles against the oppressive regime in the novels of El Filibusterismo. And then the third or chapter 24 is this chapter likely to explore the hopes, aspiration, and the ideas that fuel the youth's revolutionary fervor, contrasting the harsh reality of their situation with their vision for a better future. And for the last chapter, the smiles and tears. So this suggests a chapter depicting the complex emotional landscape of the revolutionaries' moment of joy, hope, and camaraderie, alongside the sorrow of fear and despair inherent in their dangerous undertaking. So that will be all for the group 3 for chapter 17 to 25.